so interesting to me when, you get a little bit of bad news and you kind of ponder, like, what if? Like, what could have happened? For instance, we know that Halo used to be like this huge game and used to be a big deal. It's not as much of a big deal, but I still look at it as a reason to, that Xbox is Xbox. It's like, honestly, that those original Halo games are phenomenal, and there's nothing quite like them. It really kind of showed what was possible on a sandbox shooter on a console, because that hadn't really been done much before. I know people will point to like GoldenEye or whatever, but I think Halo was like showing what you could do amped up 10 times that. So you always look at it and you go, oh, that's really cool. And then you look at what's popular right now and you see, okay, well, all these BR games are popular. Battle Royale is the big thing. But in reality, there's only enough room for so many Battle Royale games. And, when you look at it, and from where I'm sitting, and you're kind of looking at it and you go, okay, well, they canceled the Halo Battle Royale game. Who knows? That could have been good. That could have brought life to Halo. That could have brought fans into the mix that maybe weren't interested in Halo in the first place. It could have brought in new fans. That could have been exactly what Microsoft needed. We'll never know, because it looks like that game was canceled. But we see that something like Helldivers 2 is incredibly popular right now. It's obviously never going to come to Xbox, but what's interesting is it sort of reminds people of like a Halo ODST type situation. And what's interesting is, apparently 343 devs pitched 20 to 30 game ideas over the last 12 years, including a new ODST spin-off that was kind of like Helldivers. So yeah, that's interesting to me, and that's kind of bad news if you ask me. So Halo Studios 343 Industries has been heavily focused on Halo Infinite in recent years, but obviously as Microsoft attempted to breathe new life into the series after the bumpy ride that was Halo 5, while we very much enjoyed the team's 2021 release, it sounds like we could have seen a lot of different Halo styles in recent years if 343 and Xbox were more receptive. So again, this is something that I always kind of point out to specific instances, right? Like, I never really buy into when somebody goes, oh, well, this dev team is working on 2 or 3 things, or they're rumored to be working on 8 things right now, right? Because there's been so many different Halo games rumored to be worked on, and a lot of them were probably real at some point. Like, even that Roblox, that Mega Bloks Halo game looked funny and interesting and a good take on it, and probably would have done well and maybe brought a different audience to Halo. Even that looked really cool, but all these things get canceled, and this used to happen a lot back in the day as well, because I can remember back when Lionhead Studios was still a thing, you would see a situation where it was rumored they were working on multiple titles, but then the other titles outside of Fable never ever released and never even were really officially announced. Same thing happened to Rare a lot. Rare was always rumored to be working on 2 or 3 different things, and none of the other things ever got announced. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I get that a lot of things get canceled in the industry, but it's just crazy to me kind of looking at this and saying to myself, Xbox is kind of weird in this kind of aspect. So, taking to Twitter, ex-Halo lead Kevin Schmidt responded to fan anguish about Halo ideas that got pitched over the years but ultimately never got greenlit. And Schmidt says that there were 20 to 30 game ideas pitched across 12 years, including Halo ODST themed experience. And here's what he had to say. We might have pitched 20 to 30 game ideas over the last 12 years. I was there, and it would totally have worked in the Halo universe. Many single-player and multiplayer ODST-themed ones. Some galaxy-spanning, some more intimate, and one that was really dark. Schmidt worked on Halo from 2011 through 2023 as 343's Industries put its stamp on the famous Xbox franchise. Again, it's just safe to say that the team could have gone in a hugely different direction over the years, but alas, they've mainly focused on mainline entries so far. A lot of people have asked for hey, why not do like a Telltale Games Halo game that tells a deep story, or why not do, a horror Halo game, something different. Schmidt was keen not to blame Microsoft for how things played out. He says, being a game dev for almost 30 years, probably pitched well over 100 games. There are thousands of reasons why why they don't get made. It's rarely corporate greed or some other nefarious reason. I find it's a lot about timing. Interestingly, this Twitter discussion started out with tweets about Helldivers 2 and how some X343 devs apparently pitched something similar to the concept at one stage, albeit in the Halo universe. Of course, we don't know the validity of the claims, but with the huge popularity of the PS5 shooter, it's safe to say that Microsoft would love something like this on the platform. And as we know, Phil Spencer has actually gone out of his way and kind of port begged or whatever for it. But when you look at this and you just go, oh man, what could have been? I find that's disappointing for fans. At the end of the day, Microsoft, I feel like, aren't really taking much of a risk when it comes to some of their things, or they risk too much. If you look at it, right? Like, so Halo Infinite, it's a good game, right? I like the game. I don't play a ton of Halo Infinite in terms of multiplayer. I'm not as big into the player versus player aspect. Never have been. I mean, back in the day, Halo 3, yeah, everybody played PvP and stuff like that. But cooperative experiences, yeah, I'm all about that. Helldivers is good. It's a good co-op experience. You've got more people playing that than have played Halo Infinite, at least on Steam, I would think. That's official. They've had, I think they capped it at 450,000 people because there's too many people trying to play or whatever. But, Halo could be big. You just need to kind of change it and reinvent it a little bit. And I think like Helldivers, that is a games as a service type game, but it's the type of game where if you have content, you could probably keep people on that for a long, long time. Whereas Halo didn't have any content, and it was just kind of unfortunate that, it didn't really work out the way that people probably expected it to. So, again, this is all speaking of, ifs and buts or what have you. But, at the end of the day, Microsoft really has nobody to blame but themselves for some of this stuff. Like, I really think that Microsoft has some interesting projects and some interesting things, but it just seems like they can't hit on anything that they really want to, and it's like, and then Sony kind of falls into it, right? I honestly think that it's just one of those things that, Microsoft really has kind of a tough time, like, coming across and things. Like, I'll give you a good example. Like, I think, at the end of the day, I really do feel like Microsoft has a lot of good ideas and cool things, but I think that, like, when you look at how, let's just say, for instance, Helldivers 2 has had all kinds of server problems and things like that. It's sort of a games as a service. I don't know if I would classify it as pay to win, but it's definitely got a lot of microtransactions and stuff. Is that something that negatively affected the scores? I don't think so, despite the fact that, like for me, trying to get into a game, you might not even get into a game. So, it's just one of those things that you kind of look at and you go, nobody's really docking this game for this, or this, but they would definitely dock an Xbox game for this, and this, right? Like, and that's just factual. So, it is kind of a weird situation that we find ourselves in, but maybe at the end of the day, Microsoft will kind of come out looking better. I don't know. But what do you guys think about this? Do you guys wish we would have seen some kind of like ODST thing? They're orbital shock drop troopers. That like screams, hey, fun. I don't get it. Why not take a chance on something like that? Anyway, rack 'em up. I'm Crap Gamer. Crap Gamer out.